Hi guys, in my previous video we talked about finding derivatives of functions where we used the first principles. In other words, we said for you to find a derivative for the function f of x, we said that if you are to find the derivative of that, it's equal to the limit of this function as h tends to 0 of f of x plus a small change in x, which we called h, minus f of x, the original function, divided by h. So that's what we did last week in defining functions. So in this video, what I'm going to try and do is explain to you how to get derivatives without you using limits or going into using first principle of finding derivatives. So let's do that. I'll jump right into it with examples. So in this particular example, now I just want to mention that if you are not familiar with finding derivatives using first principles, so doing it that way, you can go back and watch my previous video. That's why I did talk about that. In this one, I'm going to show some examples. Example 1. Find derivative of the function f of x is equal to x cubed. So now, one rule that I want to give in finding derivatives is that anytime you find a derivative of a function, say if f of x is equal to something like x to the power n, the derivative of that function, which is f prime, is given by you dropping that n to the front of the variable times that same variable to the power of n minus 1. So in other cases, people will say df dx, so as opposed to saying f prime x, but the two are referring to the same thing. So in our case, if f of x is equal to x cubed, by following that rule, then f prime of x is equal to 3 to the power times x to the power of 3 minus 1, which is equal to 3 to x squared. And that will be our final answer. Example 2. Find the derivative of r to the power of minus 4. What do we do? So we do the same thing we just did. So I'm going to move this to here. So we do the same thing we just did and say d, so I'll call this function g of r is equal to that. So d dg dr, meaning the derivative of the function g with respect to r, is given by you dropping the minus 4 to the power of r, times r, to the power of minus 4 minus 1, like we did, right here. So minus 1. What do you get? This would be minus 4 times, not times. Yeah, you can say times the variable. It doesn't matter. But minus 4 r to the power of minus 5. And that will be your final answer. You can also write it as minus 4 over r to the power 5. If you remember in the first 1 to 2 videos, we did talk about how when you move, this, when you move this down, the power changes. When you move it up, the power changes, and all of that. But that's how you go about derivatives. Thank you. In the next video, I'll be giving more examples about finding derivatives of functions. But in those videos, we'll be using examples that relate what is called the product rule and the quotient rule. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thank you.